多謝晒咁多位香港嘅球迷，不論係喺
Coleman Wong's mysterious black box made Eala cry after her historic gold, and what was inside has left everyone stunned. What really went down behind closed doors at the 33rd SEA Games in Bangkok is the kind of story that doesn't come around very often. While many believed the headline of the day was Eala's historic gold medal for the Philippines, ending a painful 26-year drought in dominant fashion, that incredible on-court performance was completely overshadowed by what happened afterward in the locker room. The real story, the one that sent shockwaves through the tennis world and caused social media to erupt, had nothing to do with a racket, a trophy, or even a victory speech. Instead, it unfolded away from the flashing cameras, far from the public eye, and left everyone questioning what truly happened next. The roaring crowds had only just faded from a moment so charged with emotion and so utterly unexpected that those who witnessed it said the atmosphere in the locker room became thick enough to cut with a knife. Coleman Wong, the immensely talented tennis player from Hong Kong who has long been linked to Eala, walked in and did something so bold, dramatic, and deeply personal that Eala, fresh from conquering a nation's expectations, broke down in tears in front of everyone. Before diving into the unbelievable details surrounding the mysterious black box that everyone is talking about, this is the kind of story that defines champions tennis, a place for the moments that matter most in the sport. The drama after the cameras stop rolling, and the story's mainstream outlets are too cautious or too dull to tell. For fans who love not just the game, but the backstories, relationships, and raw human moments that turn tennis into something more than forehands and backhands, this is only the beginning. Now, with that stage set, it's time to paint the picture properly, because context is everything when it comes to understanding why this moment hit so hard. It's December 2025, and the scene is set. Bangkok, Thailand is the stage for the 33rd Southeast Asian Games, and the energy in the stadium has been building all week, reaching a fever pitch on this unforgettable day. Eala, representing the Philippines with pure pride and determination, delivers the performance of her career in the women's singles final. She doesn't just win, she completely dismantles Thailand's home favourite, Monica Sawini, with a ruthless and clinical display of tennis that leaves no doubt about who the best player in Southeast Asia is right now. The final score, a devastating 6-1, 6-2, hardly reflects how one-sided the match truly was. Ranked 53rd in the world, Eala plays like someone possessed, fully aware that history is watching and refusing to blink under the immense pressure. This gold medal means everything not just to her, but to an entire nation. This gold medal meant everything to an entire nation that had been waiting since 1999 to see its flag raised for a tennis singles gold at the SEA Games. The emotions were already overflowing, with Eala in tears during the medal ceremony as the Philippine national anthem echoed through the stadium. By the time she returned to the locker room, she was riding a powerful mix of exhaustion, relief, and pure joy that only comes from achieving something truly monumental. The room itself was packed, teammates celebrating, coaches offering congratulations, staff snapping photos, creating a kind of joyful chaos where adrenaline was still pumping, and no one could quite believe what had just happened. It was full celebration mode, the kind of atmosphere where champagne bottles are popping and conversations overlap in excited disbelief. Eala was likely still trying to process it all, catching her breath, maybe glancing at her phone as messages poured in from around the world, when suddenly everything changed. The locker room door opened, and the noise didn't fade gradually, it stopped instantly, as if someone had flipped a switch. Walking in with an expression witnesses described as intense and completely focused was Coleman Wong. If you don't yet understand why his appearance at that exact moment was such a big deal, this is where the story truly gets interesting. Wong is a 21-year-old tennis player from Hong Kong who enjoyed a breakthrough year in 2025, cracking the ATP Top 100 and becoming the first player from Hong Kong to achieve that ranking in the modern era. But his connection to Eala runs far deeper than simply being fellow Asian tennis stars. These two were never just players on the rise. They grew up together at the legendary Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, training side by side for years. They partnered in mixed doubles, supported each other through injuries, losses, and victories, and became the subject of some of the most persistent dating rumors in Asian tennis. Fans obsessively tracked their interactions on social media, analyzed Instagram comments, dissected photos, and even coined the nickname Eala Wong, as they openly shipped the pair for years. However, things became complicated and Coleman's appearance in Bangkok carried heavy, unspoken tension when, just 2 months earlier in October, fans noticed something alarming. Alexandra Eala and Coleman Wong had unfollowed each other on Instagram. In the world of young athletes and social media, that isn't a casual move, it's a statement. When two people who have been publicly close for years suddenly sever that visible connection, speculation explodes. The tennis community went into overdrive with theories about a breakup, a fight, or some kind of betrayal, and the silence from both players only fueled the rumors further. For 2 months, there was complete radio silence between them online, leaving fans to wonder whether one of tennis's most beloved potential couples had quietly fallen apart. So when Coleman Wong walked into that locker room in Bangkok, just hours after Alexandra Eala had made history, the moment was charged with far more meaning than anyone could have anticipated. She had just achieved the biggest win of her career, and everyone in the room was fully aware of the social media drama that had been unfolding in the background. No one had any idea what was about to happen. Was Coleman there simply to congratulate her as a friend, to cause a scene, or was the moment going to turn awkward, emotional, or even confrontational? What followed has been described by multiple witnesses as one of the most powerful and emotionally charged moments they have ever seen in sports. Coleman didn't smile when he entered the room, didn't wave to the coaches, and didn't acknowledge anyone else. From the second he stepped through the door, his eyes were locked on Alexandra, and he walked straight toward her with a sense of purpose that made everyone instinctively step back and give him space. In his hands was something that immediately stood out in the sweaty, crowded locker room filled with sports bags and celebration, a sleek, velvet-covered black box. It radiated intention and luxury, the kind of item you don't casually carry unless what's inside is deeply meaningful and likely expensive. This was no ordinary gift. This wasn't a sponsor's gift bag or a random token of congratulations, it was deeply personal, and everyone in the room knew it the instant they saw it. According to multiple people who were present and later spoke about the moment, the atmosphere in the locker room shifted, so abruptly it felt as if the oxygen had been sucked out of the space. The celebration, the laughter, the chatter, everything stopped. The silence that followed felt endless, stretching on for what people later said felt like 30 seconds. Though it was probably closer to 10, an eternity in a room full of people holding their breath and watching two individuals face each other with months of unspoken tension hanging in the air. Alexandra, who moments earlier had been crying tears of victory and national pride, went completely still. She looked at Coleman with an expression witnesses described as confused and guarded, perhaps even a little fearful, unsure of what was about to happen. Given their recent history and the visible distance between them, the moment could have gone in any direction. Coleman stopped directly in front of her, close enough that it was unmistakably intimate. No longer a casual public gesture, but something far more personal. He didn't launch into a long explanation or play to the crowd, nor did he try to make the moment about anyone other than the two of them. Instead, he simply held out the black velvet box toward her and spoke just 3 sentences, words that have since been repeated, analyzed, and quoted across tennis forums and social media. Those who heard him swear these were his exact words. "Eala, this is for you. Open it." His voice was steady and controlled, yet beneath it was a tremor of raw emotion that everyone in the room could sense. A vulnerability that made it clear this went far beyond a simple congratulatory gift. He wasn't casually asking her to open the box. It almost sounded like a plea, as if everything he couldn't say was contained inside, and he needed her to understand it. Alexandra hesitated, the internal struggle visible on her face, and though her hands had just dominated a tennis match with precision and power, they now trembled as she reached for the box. The room remained completely silent, frozen in place as if no one dared to breathe. When she slowly lifted the lid and saw what was inside, everything changed instantly. Alexandra Eala burst into tears, not quiet or restrained, but deep, uncontrollable sobs that seemed to come from somewhere far beneath the surface. She dropped the box onto the bench as her hands shook too violently to hold it, then threw her arms around Coleman Wong, burying her face against him and clinging tightly. her knuckles turning white as she refused to let go for what felt like several minutes. This wasn't a polite hug or a casual gesture. It was raw, overwhelming emotion unfolding in full view of everyone who happened to be there. This wasn't a gentle or familiar embrace between two people at ease with each other. It was desperate, raw, and heavy with months of pent-up emotion finally released all at once. Coleman, who had entered the room looking focused and prepared for any outcome, completely melted the moment she grabbed him. He wrapped his arms around her, pulled her close, rested his chin on top of her head, and closed his eyes as if he could finally breathe properly for the first time in months. They stood there, wrapped up in each other in the middle of a crowded locker room filled with teammates, coaches, and staff. Yet no one said a word. No one pulled out a phone, even though it could have been the viral moment of the year, and no one tried to break the tension with a joke. People actually looked away, sensing they were witnessing something deeply private, an intensely personal moment unfolding in public, simply because emotion doesn't always wait for the right time or place. The question driving everyone crazy now is what was inside that black box. Neither Alexandra nor Coleman has said a single word about it publicly. No social media posts, no interviews, no explanations, only silence. And that silence has sent the tennis world into a frenzy, with theories and speculation spreading faster by the day. Honestly, some of the theories are so wild that they might actually be true, especially since this whole situation is already so dramatic that adding an engagement ring wouldn't be all that surprising. The most popular theory, one that has the romantic faction of tennis fans absolutely screaming, and even making elaborate PowerPoint presentations to prove their point, is that the black box contained an engagement ring. Consider the details. The size of the box matches perfectly with a ring box, and Alexandra's intense emotional reaction when she opened it suggests this wasn't just a nice piece of jewelry or a thoughtful memento. It seemed to represent a commitment, a promise, a future, something that hit her right in the heart at a moment when she was already emotionally vulnerable after winning the biggest match of her career. The way Coleman held her afterward, the protective embrace, and the way he closed his eyes as if savoring the moment all point to something deeply romantic and life-changing. Of course, the counter-argument is that they are very young. Alexandra is only 20 and Coleman just turned 21. So is it really the right time for an engagement? Especially with both of them at such crucial points in their careers. Given their professional tennis careers and the likelihood of traveling around the world for most of the year, the October unfollowing was a huge deal, which makes Coleman showing up in Bangkok with that black box feel like the resolution to a story that had been building for months. Whatever happened between them in October, whatever caused that public distancing on social media, clearly wasn't the end of their story. If anything, it was just a chapter, perhaps a necessary one, where they had to figure some things out separately before coming back together. The locker room moment feels like the climax of a season-long drama, the point where all the tension and uncertainty finally breaks and resolves into something clear and undeniable. It was Coleman Wong making a statement, not to the public, but to Alexandra, telling her in the most dramatic and romantic way possible that no matter what happens in their careers or lives, she matters to him in a way that transcends everything else. Alexandra's reaction, breaking down and holding on to him, as if afraid he might disappear if she let go, was her way of accepting that statement and making one of her own. As of now, the silence from both of them on social media continues, but this time it feels different. It's not the cold, distant silence of October, when fans feared something had broken irreparably between them. This is a warm, private silence, one that signals a quiet but unmistakable reconnection. The silence between them now is different, the kind that suggests they're in their own bubble, and the outside world can wait. The champions tennis team is pulling every possible connection to find out what was actually inside that mysterious black box, because the suspense is killing everyone. But for now, the secret remains tightly locked. Was it a diamond engagement ring signaling the tennis wedding of the decade? A meaningful piece of jewelry or memento representing their shared journey and his commitment? Or something completely unexpected that no one has guessed yet? While we dig, ask questions, and reach out to anyone who was in that locker room, we can still celebrate what's undeniable. Alexandra Eala is the SEA Games champion, earning her gold through talent, determination, and ruthless execution, bringing glory back to the Philippines after a 26-year wait. Regardless of the romantic drama swirling around her, that achievement stands on its own. And Coleman Wong, whether he entered that locker room with a ring, an apology, a promise, or all of the above, created a moment that will be remembered in tennis circles for years, a moment even more valuable than any trophy. So now we want to know what you think was in that black box. Are you team engagement ring, convinced Coleman proposed after her biggest win? Team apology gift, believing it was his way of making amends for October? Or do you have a completely different theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the drama, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm show this story to more tennis fans. Most importantly, subscribe to Champions Tennis for news that truly matters. Stories with real emotion, real stakes, and real people, not just match stats and rankings. Turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when we reveal the contents of the black box. Until then, keep speculating, keep shipping, and keep loving this beautifully dramatic, emotionally intense sport that keeps us all captivated.